In a world drowning in slogans and sound bites, we are told again and again to smile, to be grateful, to find the silver lining. Pain is inconvenient, discomfort is unwelcome, and the rawness of human emotion is often labeled as weakness. We scroll through endless affirmations that tell us to choose happiness, to focus on the good, and to let it go. But beneath the polished surface, countless hearts are silently breaking. This is the unspoken cost of toxic positivity. It silences suffering under the guise of encouragement. And yet a love more ancient than words steps into that silence. This love does not demand that we fake joy. It does not recoil from grief. It draws near to the weary, the grieving, the doubting, and the broken. It is a love that doesn't pretend. It is a love that listens. It is a love that stays. Christianity calls this love caritas, a self-giving, unwavering charity that pours itself out for the other. It is the kind of love that entered a manger, walked dusty roads, wept in a garden, and died on a cross. It is the kind of love that breaks through the illusions of toxic positivity. This love does not slap a smile on sorrow, it enters into it. When Jesus stood at the tomb of Lazarus, he knew resurrection was moments away, and yet he wept. He wept because love does not rush grief. Love honors pain. Jesus, who is love himself, weeps not because he lacks hope, but because he is present. In contrast, toxic positivity seeks to bypass the ache. It avoids the uncomfortable. It denies what is hard and sanitizes the sacred work of suffering. It trades honesty for ease and presence for platitudes. But the gospel does not do this. Scripture is full of lament, and still it is holy. The Psalms cry out with confusion, fear, betrayal, and despair. And these cries are not edited out or condemned. They are preserved as sacred. Psalm 88 ends without resolution. The final words are, "Darkness is my closest friend." No sudden turn toward joy, no tidy ending, just raw, unfiltered truth. And that too is scripture. That too is inspired. The Bible does not fear our sadness. God does not require a positive attitude to draw near. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. In the Catechism of the Catholic Church, we are taught that the works of mercy are not optional extras, but essential expressions of faith. Instructing, advising, consoling, comforting are spiritual works of mercy, as are forgiving and bearing wrongs patiently. CCC 2447. Not cheering someone up, not telling them to look on the bright side, but consoling, comforting, bearing with. There's nothing flashy about presence. It will never trend, it will never go viral, but it will always be holy. That's the holy difference. Toxic positivity seeks to fix what feels uncomfortable. Authentic love seeks to accompany. Accompaniment does not erase sorrow. It walks through it. It does not silence tears, it honors them. It is what Christ did on the road to Emmaus. The disciples were confused, heartbroken, and lost. Jesus did not start with a solution. He started with presence. He walked beside them. He asked questions. He listened. Only then did he speak. Psychology confirms what theology has always known. Denying or suppressing negative emotions is not only unhelpful, it is harmful. It creates emotional dissonance and increases stress. It undermines resilience. Dr. Susan David, a Harvard psychologist, describes emotional agility as the ability to navigate life with openness to emotion, not avoidance of it. Discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life, she says. This echoes Christ's own words. If anyone wants to be my disciple, he must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Matthew 16:24. The cross is not a metaphor for cheerfulness. It is the full weight of human suffering embraced by divine love. Toxic positivity demands a quick return to happiness, but redemptive love honors the time it takes to heal. St. Francis de Sales wrote, "Have patience with all things, but chiefly have patience with yourself." Patience is not passivity. It is the willingness to remain present through what is hard. And this is where the transformation happens. Not in denying the storm, but in discovering who is in the boat with us. Love that transforms does not arrive with balloons and pep talks. It sits in hospitals, it holds hands at funerals, it waits outside operating rooms, it brings meals to the exhausted, it listens to the same story for the third time. It does not try to tidy grief, it builds a shelter around it. Saint Monica cried for years over her son Augustine. Her tears were not signs of despair, but of fidelity. Saint Josephine Bakhita endured unspeakable trauma, and yet she radiated compassion. She once said, "If I were to meet the slave traders who kidnapped me, I would kneel and kiss their hands, for if that had not happened, I would not have found Christ." Her words are not endorsements of abuse. They are testimony to how love can transform even the deepest wounds, not by ignoring them, but by redeeming them. The saints do not skip sorrow. They do not bypass suffering. They walk through it with courage, honesty, and grace, and they teach us how to do the same. Saint Maximilian Kolbe embraced agony in a starvation bunker so another man could live. Saint Damien of Molokai chose to live among lepers, not to fix them, but to love them. This is the theology of the pierced heart. Love does not erase suffering. It enters it, dwells in it, and sanctifies it from within. Real love does not fear tears. It doesn't interrupt crying with cliches. It doesn't fill silence with noise. It stays, it remains, like Mary at the foot of the cross, like John who did not run away, like Veronica who stepped forward, like Simon who carried the cross. These were not grand gestures. They were acts of radical presence. In the church, we call this ministry of presence. It is Eucharistic. It is incarnational. It is sacrificial. It says, "This is my body given for you," not only in consecrated bread, but in every act of staying with someone in their sorrow. It is a sacrament of attention, a liturgy of love in daily life. And in a culture obsessed with image and immediacy, this quiet fidelity speaks volumes. We must relearn how to be with one another. We must unlearn the need to cheer people up and relearn how to love them well. We must choose connection over correction, presence over pep talks, faithfulness over fast fixes. We must remember that it is not our job to rescue others from their pain, but to walk with them through it. This is not codependency, it is covenant. Even the liturgical calendar teaches this rhythm. There is Advent before Christmas, Lent before Easter, Holy Saturday between crucifixion and resurrection. The Church does not rush joy. It prepares for it through fasting, waiting, and watching. The very structure of our worship affirms that transformation takes time and that sorrow has a sacred place in our journey of faith. The Beatitudes are not a manifesto of cheer. They are a manifesto of mercy. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Matthew 5:4. Not blessed are those who fake a smile. Not blessed are those who look on the bright side. Blessed are those who mourn. Mourning is not weakness. It is an act of the heart that has loved. And love always risks pain. To love is to open yourself to the ache of loss, the sting of betrayal, the silence of absence. And yet, to love anyway is the most courageous thing a soul can do. In our friendships, in our families, in our ministries, may we learn to love courageously. May we reject the shallow seduction of toxic positivity and embrace the deep truth of authentic love. May we be slow to speak and quick to listen. May we carry one another's burdens, not as therapists or saviors, but as companions. Companions who weep together, who sit on the floor, who light candles, who don't rush. And when the time comes to speak, may our words be few and full of grace. May we echo the voice of the shepherd who calls each of us by name, not with pressure, but with peace. Not with slogans, but with silence that holds. For the world does not need more positivity, it needs more love. The kind of love that is willing to suffer, the kind of love that does not flee from sadness, the kind of love that names the pain and stays anyway. This is what changes hearts. This is what redeems wounds. This is what reflects Christ. Not a forced smile, not a shallow cheer, but a love that lingers, a love that listens, a love that lays itself down, a love that anoints the broken, a love that asks for nothing in return. This is the love that visits the prisoner when everyone else has forgotten them. This is the love that shows up with groceries and no expectation of gratitude. This is the love that chooses to call back even after a hard conversation. This is the love that doesn't turn away from someone else's shame, but instead meets it with mercy. When we love this way, we imitate the Sacred Heart of Christ, pierced, wounded, exposed, and still beating. This is the heart that holds space for lament, not as a failure of faith, but as a sacred language of longing. Lament is the soul's cry that the world is not as it should be, and God receives that cry. We see this in the Psalms. We see it in Gethsemane. We see it in every Eucharist, where suffering is not erased, but transfigured. True love does not insist that others bounce back. It does not set expiration dates on sorrow. Instead, it makes room for the long, slow, sacred unfolding of healing. It is in this steady, cruciform presence that souls find rest. It is here that hearts begin to trust again. When we reject toxic positivity, we make space for authentic community. We create room for grief groups and hospital visits, for prayer circles and vigil candles. We begin to see that healing happens not through inspiration alone, but through incarnation, God with us and us with each other. To stand with the broken is to stand on holy ground. It is to enter the upper room where doubting Thomas touches the wounds of Christ and finally believes. Jesus did not shame Thomas for needing proof. He offered his wounds. This is how love responds to doubt, not with correction, but with compassion. We do not need to fix what is sacredly broken. We need only to be present, to keep vigil, to remind each other that love is still here. Not tidy, not packaged, not quick, but present, patient, and true. And it is this love that will transform the world.